Make money work for you with MIDF Invest, an easier, safer way to grow your wealth by investing in stocks and ETFs from over 6,000 US companies. The bank is regulated by Securities Commission for your peace of mind, so you can keep your money safe while keeping it busy.
Hi, let me show you how easy it is to buy a stock from the MIDF Invest app. To start, download the MIDF app from the Play Store or the App Store. Registering your account with us will be very easy, and once your account is approved, you can click the trade button to begin your investment journey. Search for the stock that you like to buy, customize your stock buying options, tap on the Place Order button, and finally tap the Confirm button. And congratulations, you have purchased your first stock on the MIDF Invest app.
Want to earn from some of the world's biggest companies? Let your money work abroad. With MIDF Invest, you can invest in stocks and ETFs from over 6,000 US companies, including a wide range of Shariah-compliant stocks. Have questions? You can talk to our experienced happiness agents anytime. So, if your savings are still sleeping on the job, it's time to make them work a little harder.
Okay, setting up camera. Okay. Hi everyone. Hope everyone is doing okay today. I'd like to wish everyone a very warm evening and welcome to this webinar. I think this webinar is a continuation of talking about filters, right? So last week, just to recap, the last 2 weeks, we talked a little bit about using the ESG filter, right? E stands for environmentally friendly, S stands for social, and G stands for governance. This week, we're going to talk a little bit about an ethical filter, which is the Sharia filter. So before that, a little bit about me. My name is Adnan, and I have been within the financial industry for close to 20 years. During that time, I was involved in accounting and investments, and right now I am with MIDF Invest. So during my time over the 20-year span, I have been not only doing accounting, but I've also helped with regards to giving I guess stock calls to fund managers, right, within the investment industry background. So just before we start, a couple of house rules as per usual. If this is anyone's first time in this webinar, just want to go through the house rules. Basically, number one, this is going to be truly interactive. So if you guys have any questions, please do ask, right? That's number one. And number two, if you guys have any comments, right? I created some quizzes and whatnot. So for everyone's benefit, I think it's going to be much fun that way, right? So that it's not just a purely listen, right? So we're going to make it as interactive as possible. And another thing which I'd like to say with regards to today's topic is that many times, I think the financial industry, right, sometimes we can see a lot of terms being thrown left and right, right? And the whole thing of it all is sometimes, we ask ourselves, what does this really mean, right? So today I'm just going to break down, and also I'm going to simplify the concept of Sharia. So I'm actually truly excited to talk about this, right? And just real quick, I just intro or how we're going to do the presentation. Number one, we're going to talk a little bit about what Sharia is. Secondly, we're going to talk a little bit about the permissible versus non-permissible businesses within the Sharia landscape. The third is I'm going to give you guys a couple of examples, right? In these examples, you know, we can talk a little bit about this. And the fourth thing is we're going to talk a little bit about the app, right? So before we continue, I guess last week I talked a little bit about using the MIDF Invest desktop version, right? So the desktop version, right now, we even have a browser version, right? And to enable you to actually explore the browser version, you can actually go to the website, www.midf.my, right? And I think one of the coolest feature over here is that there is a couple of, I guess, calls from analysts, right? You know, buy call, sell call, you know, and we can see how many analysts are interested in that particular stock, right? That's definitely a feature which will help guide you in your investment journey, right? So moving on, a little bit about Sharia, right? What is Sharia? So basically, Sharia, especially Sharia investing, right? It actually is derived from the teaching of the Quran and also the Prophet. And over here, this is actually an ethical, and this is an ethical guideline for all of us, right? And to be very honest, right, Sharia is not only with regards to finance or with regards to investing, but Sharia also governs, I guess, our daily lives as Muslims are basically, right? So one of the, I think, very, very basic concept of this is basically what is halal versus what is haram, right? So what is haram is prohibited, and one of the reasons why it's prohibited, it could bring some harm, right? And with regards to halal, that is permissible, right? And amongst the areas which we can see Sharia, right, is not only with regards to investing, but we can see it also with regards to this food we consume, what is halal and what's not halal, right? The different meats, right? And how is slaughtered, right? Aside from that, you know, with regards to our dress code, you know, what is, I guess, tutup aurat, right? Or what covers us completely, and what, and so on and so forth. And the next thing is also social interaction. So I think over here you can see there's a group for the, I guess, the men, and also there's a group for the women, right? Aside from that, there is also with regards to Sharia investing, which is what we're going to really focus on today. So to break things down even further, right? The first very basic question is, what is haram, right? What is haram, and what can we not buy when it comes to stocks, right? So a Sharia stock basically derives its earnings from kosher activity or from halal activities, right? So if the business does halal activities, then it's a Sharia compliant stock. But if a business is actually getting its income from I guess a haram source, right, then it's a non-Sharia investment, right? So we just keep that in mind, right? So if we understand that, I think that will be the basis through the overall webinar for today, right? So amongst the things which are haram, right? Number one, things which is maybe with regards to gambling, right? Secondly, this is very popular, businesses which actually make their money or make a profit from interest. Thirdly, it's prohibited food, right? Food. So just curious out there, what is prohibited in I guess in Islam, right? Pretty much it's pork and also pork type products. And I think aside from that, also some entertainment elements is also haram, right? So things which maybe menjolok mata lah, basically, right? So that is also haram, basically, right? So over here, so if a business so the basic rule of thumb is if a business is actually involved in haram activity, may it be a manufacturing of beer, or may it be manufacturing of alcohol, right? That would be not permissible in Sharia investing, right? And another example is maybe a business which is involved in riba, right? Or involved in buying, giving and also receiving loans, right? That is also not permissible, which is the financial sector, so to speak. So I think to understand this even deeper, right? There are three main concepts, or the three main pillars, right? So this is, for me, is very interesting, right? The first is Gharar, right? Which is uncertain and also ambiguous. Okay, remember this term. Gharar stands for ambiguous and also uncertain. The next is Riba, which stands for interest. And the third is Maisir, which is gambling, or it derives its income from chance, right? So let me get further into each bucket, right? Gharar is basically any businesses which is involved in ambiguity, right? And this lacks information. So over here, this is a quote from the Quran, which says that we should probably consume things, and we should stay away from things which is of falsehood and deception, basically, right? So an example of this in our daily lives, right? So let's break it down even further, right? What does this really mean? And let's break it down even further, right? So basically, like Gharar, right now is as we can see, if we drive around Kuala Lumpur, or if we drive around, right, we will notice right now it's the season of durians, right? And every time when there's durians, right, if we were to buy durians, right, maybe the guy sells it to us for maybe 20 ringgit, right? But in the durian, there is some form of ambiguity, right? So we don't know, number one, how many fruits or how many seeds are in that particular durian, first thing. Second thing, we don't know whether these durians whether it's rosa or whether they are all good durians, basically. So there's this concept of ambiguity, right? These are small Gharar, right? But for bigger ones, right, these and also with regards to the financial sector, this will be involving or investing in cryptocurrency and also options. The whole thing of it all is that it does not hang on a particular product, right? And how the instruments are is relatively ambiguous. So therefore, these are some of the examples of investments, right? Aside from that, assuming today, right, if I come up to you with regards to real estate, right, and I ask you, hey, I have a really good investment for you, right? Need you to invest maybe 1 or 2 million, basically, right? And you ask me what this investment is, and I'll start, telling you about this amazing house with so many windows and all these function and features, right? But in actuality, right now is just a plot of empty land. So there is a lot of ambiguity over there. So the harm over here is, when I was doing more studies on this particular concept this past couple of days, is that, if you pay a contractor, right, and he promises you that he is going to do this, that for your house renovation, right, and then all of a sudden, what actually comes out is not what you expected, right? That's one harm. And another harm is sometimes, if the contractor is not very honest and they promise a lot of things and they deliver another thing, that is another risk with regards to Gharar, right? So that's one of the reasons why, with regards to this, moving into the financial realm, right? Things like options and also cryptocurrency. It's not really, I guess, not really encouraged, basically, right? Next is Maisir, right? And with regards to Maisir, right? This one is with regards to gambling or a game of chance, right? And over here we can see a Quranic verse, right, which says that anything which is intoxicants and games of chance, right, it is of great sin, right? So basically over here, what do we mean by gambling, right? It's pretty much whatever it's actually a game of chance where one person has a 50-50 chance to win, right? And amongst the, I guess, the harm that it can do is that, number one, it promotes unearned income. Number two, it also there's also financial instability, right? Especially when it comes to gambling. And as we know, sometimes some people may hurt themselves if they lose quite excessively when it comes to gambling. So therefore, it's not really permissible, right? So businesses which are involved in gambling, like Penn Entertainment, this is a NASDAQ stock. It's shunned upon, right? So that's the second thing. So amongst the example that we can give you over here is number one, speculative trading, right? So some businesses, they actually do commodity trading and speculative trading, right? So those businesses, you won't find it, or it's not a Sharia-compliant investment, right? The second thing is, as mentioned, options and also futures. And the third thing, and this is the more obvious one, businesses which are involved with regards to gambling, right? And the most popular one today is online gambling, right? So although it may be profitable, but it's shunned upon, basically. The next thing is riba, right? This one, the Quranic verse says, do not eat riba, right? As it's, I guess, sinful, basically, right? And what riba basically means is that it's interest, right? So an example of this is that, say, assuming if you need maybe 1 ringgit, right? And if I'm the bank, I lend you 1 ringgit, but I also charge an interest or maybe 10%. That is the very basic form of riba, right? And I think over here, in terms of how it may harm some people, right, is that if we were to look quite recently, right, as inflation is actually one of the bigger issues over in Malaysia. We talked about this two months ago in our webinars, right? One of the things that we can see is that there has been an increase in OPR, right? And every time when there's an increase in OPR, guess what? What will happen is that our payment for interest would increase on a month once the OPR increases, right? So some people, maybe they, very conservative people, they may have a credit card loan and also a housing loan, right? So they won't be affected as much. But there are other people which maybe have 7 or 8 loans. Maybe they have a personal loan, a car loan, and then they buy their cell phone, they also have an interest on that. So with that, sometimes if someone has maybe 7 or 8 loans, right? If the OPR were to increase, right? And if the loans are variable rates, that will really be a hardship on that particular person. So therefore, it brings a lot of harm, basically. And as Muslims, we're not, I guess, encouraged to invest in, I guess, companies that give riba. And one of the examples over here is JP Morgan. Okay, so Azhar is asking, I wanted to buy a AI, C3 AI Incorporated stock yesterday, but I got an error. Okay, I was told that the stock may have declassified from Sharia stock. However, I can see my Sharia choice. Why don't the system itself take out the stock, right? Radar. Okay, So there was this question asked with regards, or from Inche Azahar, with regards to exposure increase are not allowed, right? And why is it still on the platform? Sometimes why this happens is that if we hold a particular counter, right? Say, assuming if we bought 5 shares, right? And that share has been taken out from the Sharia list, right? And as mentioned, you know, how Sharia works, right, is that, you know, sometimes stocks may fall out the Sharia list at times, right? So why we actually have exposure increase is not allowed is basically sometimes if we have maybe 2 or 3 stocks, right? The system actually is prompting us not to increase anymore, rather to sell the stocks. So even though we have some stocks, right, the system actually is encouraging us to sell off the stock. So we will enable, or the system will enable you to sell the stock at any point in time. And that's why we say you cannot increase any more exposure. Rather, you know, you are encouraged to maybe reduce your exposure within the within that stocks. Okay, anonymous attendee, real estate investments, all investments have risks. That's true. Not getting the end results exactly. Then that we, okay, if we invest in F&B, right, can you have a provision of what might go wrong, financial effects? Okay, so again, you know, with regards to ambiguous and non-ambiguous, thank you so much for that question. There was a question with regards to investing in real estates, right, or real estate companies. Why it could be, I guess it could be, you know, it could have an ambiguous, or you fall under the ambiguous bucket, right? Basically, it's this now, right? Assuming if there is too much of ambiguity, basically, right? Sometimes if someone, if Mr. A, right, says he wants to build a house, and then, you know, we don't really trust this person is a bit shady, right? You know, it's a bit like, wow, should I even invest in him, right? So that actually adds with the ambiguity. But with regards to stocks that actually are involved in real estate, right, they tend to be more Sharia. I notice a lot of stocks within the Bursa Saham, right? A lot of them tends to be Sharia. And the whole thing of it all is that they already have everything planned out, drawn out, and they have their group of architects, right? So that helps actually reduce the ambiguity on certain things now. But if you want to buy maybe, or if you want to invest in someone, and today it's just a plot of land, right? And he says, oh, you know, we promise you to build this amazing house, but we don't even know that person, that will add into the ambiguity, right? So I think really reputable real estate companies, right? What they tend to do is they have plans, you know, they even have they even plan out the township, they even build the township right in front of you, so you can actually see how the houses would be, and that will help reduce the I guess the ambiguous elements, so to speak. Thanks guys, thank you so much for the question. So with regards to the examples of Riba, right? Again, as I mentioned, these are you know, instruments which actually allow us to make money via interest, right? And one of the 2 most popular ones is our FDs, our CDs, and also our fixed income, right? If we invest in a bond, or if we invest in any bonds or any FDs, right? What they tend to do is they tend to give an interest. So every time if we were to get an interest, then it's not so halal, or rather it's not halal at all, right? So that's the example of riba. So over here, there's this particular benchmark. We got this from SC, right? Which says that there is a 5% benchmark on certain activities, right? And these activities could be conventional banking and lending, making income from interest income, making income from gambling, making income from alcohol, pork, and also tobacco products, right? So if a business is involved in, if 5% of their income is actually derived from many of these activities, then it will 5% or more, right? 5% or more, then it will not be a halal business. Let me give you an example to illustrate this. Say, assuming right now there is we have this particular building lah, this a row of shops, right? And this row of shops are REITs, right? And how REITs pay their investors is pretty much rental lah, basically, right? So you as an investor actually will get rental from REITs, right? Say one day, all of a sudden, there's this sports toto lah yang buka kan. This sports toto, they open a shop over there. If we look at the income and the income from the gambling proceeds, it's below 5%, then it is still permissible. Having said that, if that sports toto pays a fair bit of rental, maybe 10% of the income made from that particular REIT is derived from sports toto, then it will fall under the non-Sharia bucket. So sometimes some stocks will just come in and come out the Sharia filter lah. And that's one of the reasons why lah, Encik Azhar. So another thing is that there is also a 20% benchmark. This is for businesses which are involved in stockbroking and also rental received from non-Sharia activities, right? So let me give you guys a couple of examples, right? Over here, airlines, is it Sharia or not? Okay, there's a question with regards why is Amazon a non-Sharia stock, right? For this, let me check it for you. We're going to have another webinar next week. I will maybe talk to some of our Sharia guys and try to get a better answer for this, right? Off top of my head, I don't know why Amazon is non-Sharia stock, right? So sometimes, it could be okay. With regards to Amazon, if I were to make a guess, right? Amazon right now is also involved in also groceries. They also serve groceries, right? They bought a grocery chain quite recently. It could be right now this grocery chain is involved in maybe pork-related products or also liquor-related products. And that's one of the reasons why it may fall into the non-Sharia bucket, basically. Again, it's how they derive their income. Okay, so no worries. I'm here to help. So over here, we can see that, okay, an example over here. Let me give you a couple of examples. And over here, I want to deepen everyone's understanding, right? At the end of it all, theory is theory, right? But nothing beats this more than actually having real examples, right? Now, example number one, maybe is AirAsia, right? So AirAsia, is it a halal or non-halal business? Correct, it's a halal business, right? So pretty much their main business is to fly people back and forth, maybe Penang to KL, KL to Langkawi, Langkawi to, all over Malaysia, right? But how can it fall into the non-Sharia bucket? That's right. Sometimes they may serve alcoholic drinks, right? And sometimes if they serve alcoholic drinks, and if the alcoholic drinks make about 5% or more than 5% of AirAsia's income, this stock will be non-Sharia, right? It's quite, it's quite intuitive lah. Another thing, right? With regards to hotels, right? There's this big Tabung Haji sign over there, Owen Peak, right? This is where a lot of Jamaah Haji will go lah. Every time before they fly to Saudi again. So is this a Sharia business? Correct. It's quite obvious lah. Okay, the next thing is what will make this non-Sharia? Which is basically if any of the hotels serve alcohol and also pork products and they make more than 5%. So yeah, everyone's getting the hang of it. And the final bit, we have two malls over here. One is on the left and the other one is on the right, right? The one on the left is the iconic KLCC, right? Want to ask, is this a Sharia mall? Okay, to give you guys the answer, it is definitely a Sharia mall. If you were to look into their tenancy, right, you will notice that a big a big portion or a big tenancy mix for the KLCC is mostly Sharia businesses, right? They don't have any sports toto lah. They don't have any macam gambling places where they have any gambling services lah, right? Now the same thing applies to the shopping mall over in Genting. Will that be halal or not? Correct. Yeah, it's we're not sure about this lah, right? Again, it depends on how much of income is derived from that shopping mall. Is it more coming from non-Sharia activities, right? So I hope that small little I guess session, right, and a couple of businesses actually help give you a better picture of what is Sharia and what is not Sharia. Always remember that you know, to go back to the very basic principles, right? Sharia actually governs a Muslim's way of life, right? And Sharia investing, right, is actually an offshoot with regards to the Sharia principle. And basically, if we were to invest in any business, please make sure that they are involved in Sharia activities. And sometimes, you know, certain businesses, especially when it comes to the United States, we cannot 100% invest in Sharia businesses. So sometimes, I think Encik Azhar, I think that was a very good question. Why does certain stock tiba-tiba from Sharia becomes non-Sharia? Sometimes it could be their principal activities, lah, right? You know, or another thing is like if a business has too much of cash, right? What will happen is that they will put their cash in interest-bearing instruments, and if 5 or 6% of their income is derived from interest-bearing instruments, then it will fall under the non-Sharia, right? So sometimes that happens, lah. Sometimes that happens, right? So I guess over here, what I want to say is that I know a lot of you guys actually picked Sharia accounts, right? And what we do over in MIDF is we have some Sharia advisors to help us, you know, with regards to our Sharia screening. And what we do is every 6 months, certain stocks will move in and certain stocks will move out into the Sharia screening. Hence, you will know that we take this very, very, very seriously, number one. And number two, we regularly update or we keep in tabs of what is Sharia and what is not Sharia. So rest be assured your investments are Sharia compliant, right? So I guess thank you so very much. I see another couple of questions. Okay, Azhar says, MIDF Invest is not allowed to set next of kin, right? Happiness agents told me update through. Okay. Okay. Azhar, thank you so much for that particular feedback. I will definitely bring this up, and I will come up with a solution, right? And I'll get the happiness agents to contact you once the solution is found, right? So another question from the anonymous attendee. KLCC was built from loan funding. Don't they pay a loan with interest on repayments? Will this not be haram then? Okay, so basically, right, what this basically means in terms of interest bearing, right, is that, thank you so much for that question, anonymous attendee, very good question. So basically, what I mean by earning income from Riba, right, is basically this now. Assuming right now a company, right, say, maybe I have a company, right, and my company is actually involved in something halal lah, maybe buat teh tarik lah, or making teh tarik, right. One day, you know, I had extra cash, right? I got extra cash after, you know, running my businesses maybe for 3 or 4 years. I decide to actually put some of that money into the bank, right? And the bank actually gives me interest for the money I put in the bank. Should that money from the interest actually be higher, be 5% or higher, right, from my overall income, you as an investor, right, it may have some trouble lah in that sense, whereby the investment may fall under the non-Sharia bucket, right? I hope that answers that lah. So With regards to taking loan and whatnot, right? Yeah lah, by right, even taking loans also should, it's also a form of riba, kan? So by right shouldn't take a loan lah, right? But with regards to KLCC, as of today, right, is a completed mall, so they don't really need to take a loan anymore. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, KLCC REIT is probably a Sharia investment now, Sharia-compliant investment. Dari topik, maybe kalau dah beli stock, lepas tu nak top up lagi, kena sell dan beli lagi ke? So lagi topik, kalau nak beli stock, lepas tu nak top up lagi. Okay, so kalau nak beli stock tu, boleh actually, tak payah sell. Tuan boleh pump in some money from your ringgit account, masuk ke dalam account MIDF, lepas tu tukar duit dari ringgit ke US dollar. Lepas tu boleh top up. So kadang-kadang tu ada juga saham yang turun kan. So better average down. Saya sarankan lah, kalau saham dah turun, baik Encik Ali lah, jangan jual kan. You don't want to sell at a loss kan, because you realize your loss. Lebih baik there's this term lah, average down. Kalau Encik Ali fikir that's a good investment, better just average down, add some more investments lah. Right? Okay, thank you so much for the questions. The time right now is already 9:04. Thank you so much for coming on. So the next week, we're going to talk a little bit more on the types of stocks which are Sharia. We're going to give you certain names with regards to Sharia, right? And then we're going to dive even deeper within the Sharia space. Again, the whole premise of this all is, sometimes, there's a lot of words which are flying, Gharar, Maisir, So sometimes when we're reading literature, right, it's difficult for us to connect with what the literature is saying. My goal today is to make investing easy for you guys. I want you guys to be informed investors, and I want you guys to be confident investors, right? So hence, that's why we are doing this particular topic, so that at least, we know what is, we will know what is Sharia, we will know why certain stocks tiba-tiba become not Sharia, So I hope that actually sheds some light, and I hope my small little session actually gave you guys, some confidence moving forward with regards to investing. All right, with that, it's already 9:05. Thank you so very much for joining the webinar. And with that, take care, good evening, and stay hydrated, guys. It's a really, really hot day these past couple of days. Take care. Thank you.